Hey there, my kissable misters. It's your boy B3 back with day 3 of Rangerstop and Pop 2022. I got a lot of bags and I gotta check out soon, so I'm gonna drop these off at the front so I can check out. Look at all this. How am I supposed to I gotta make 2 trips of sorts. I gotta make 2 trips of myself. To the parking deck, to the tippy top of the parking deck. This is trip 1. This is trip 2, and that'll be fun. We're gonna try to model this again today, and today we're gonna see a lot of panels, including Bulk and Skull, which was my favorite panel of the last year. So let's get on it and in it.
Just the Lion Forest Princess right now. The others are late.
Each day when the sun rises,
Sing
from my sleep. I can't wait to greet you with my song. You are every kind of flower and nature full of grace and majesty.
Fantastic.
And they needed to clean it. But literally the vests were in there, the boots, just everything. So I was
That's the real dress from the show.
So I did like an auction for Children's Hospital. Yeah, after that, yes. And with the vests and things like that. But yeah, they cleared it out and moved to New Zealand, so I guess that's why they didn't feel like flying us over there for, you know, a team up.
We will save the world! Wild Force Access, Wild Force, Power Rangers! Together, Wild Force, Power Rangers! Well, they're head Wild Force! Wild Force!
I saw one schedule that still had last year's panel title, the Bulk and Skull Combat Academy.
Oh, you guys weren't expecting that, because if so, we're going to have to start hitting you with chairs.
Which we did that. We did
Where's
that panel.
Spike?
Oh, he's dead. To us.
To us.
Yeah. Felix is in Glendale, California. He's now apparently a video game streamer, and with all the revenue that brings in. And he's doing fine. He and I speak pretty often.
Well, I mean, that can bring in a lot. You remember, so we did a con in, that was the Guadalajara con. And there was one guy, every time he'd go anywhere, people were screaming like the Beatles, not like the cockroaches. And they're like, oh, that was a happy scream. And was like, oh, what is it? But he was screaming, so at one point, Paulie and I were like, what's up with this guy? And they're like, oh, no, he's huge in Latin America. Well, what does he do? He's a YouTuber. Oh, so he does like skits and stuff? Because we had some friends that had done a ton of skits throughout the Spanish-speaking world, and they were really funny. And it was basically like Saturday Night Live, but on YouTube. They were great. And they're like, no. He does gaming. This is when gaming was becoming a thing on streaming. They're like, oh, he does gaming, so like is he like really good? They're like, oh no, he's terrible. That's why he makes so much money.
But he was really cute.
Oh, yeah.
So just watching the cute guy fail was still tolerable because he was super hot.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can watch Marilyn Monroe read the phone book. You're like, okay, I'll watch it. If I tried, you'd be like, shut up! Nobody uses the phone anymore.
So during that trip to Guadalajara, we didn't realize the risk of kidnapping was as significant as it is in Mexico. But anyone that makes more than $7, a day is like a target, apparently. So the streamer, like, they're worth like gangs hunting him to try to grab him, so that they could get 10 or 20 grand from the family. And so we had dudes with guns all around us. And we're like, do they know who we are? This is definitely not worth the investment.
Like the bullet it'll take to kill us was worth twice our bank account.
You know,
and it was worse in Ecuador because they're like, we're like, hey, we want to go see the iguanas in the park because that's what you do. You hang out with the iguanas in the park in Ecuador. And they're like, no. Like, it might be cool. They're like, okay. And so like, and there's like a bunch of stuff. They're like, okay, let's go. And then we get in the car, not thinking of anything, and they're like, dude, there's some people following us. That is weird. They're like, no, that's us. Why? They're like, well, you need armed guards. We're like, armed guards? You're not armed, are you? They're like, of course we're here.
probably is. I'm really annoyed by the question. Like, you think that I am such a schmuck that I would carry a fake gun? And I was like, well, that's what we would do. Remember the Wild West Rangers where we actually did have pistols? We had like 6-shooters. But they were like children's toys, so they were like 40% actual size. There wasn't even enough room on them for my pinky.
Yeah, all I was talking that is a bang.
Yes, exactly.
Because that's a joke that flew in the 90s, since that was, you know, one of those novelty toys from the 30s.
Hey, is your gun real? Well, do you guys have any questions for us that you would, any burning questions? Do you want to know who we hate, who we love, who we love to hate?
Financial advice.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I was doing some math this morning at the table and it was like this. And someone came up and tried to talk to me and I looked up like, please don't make me start again.
Watching us try to, because obviously we're partners, and watching us try to figure out the finances, take everything and divide it by 2, it's like, ooh, you're really asking for some trouble. Like, everyone yesterday was terrified that there was some kind of, speaking of guns, some kind of gun event, because they heard, blam, blam, those are brain cells, and Paulie and I go, ah! You guys hear it.
Well, let me ask you this. Do you guys have a fun time this weekend?
Yeah!
You know, I love Rangerstop. I'm not sure if I fully understand the and pop. It's a Funko reference, right?
I guess.
But
Pop culture.
Thank God, thank you. But thank you, because there's no pops of us, and therefore I don't give 2 shits about it.
Well, that's why it's not called Rangerstop and shit.
That's a pop-up convention.
Well, dude, that would be funny. That is a good reason to tell the Rangers to stop, though, right? Just stop it! No!
Rangerstop and shit is just one porta potty. And when you open the door, Christopher Cayman Lee is in there. Hey, what's up?
The Rangers shit stop, though.
We've done some very small shows recently. We were at the Aurora, Colorado Cow Palace a few weeks ago.
Yeah, cows!
It smelled like cows. We were fairly confident it wasn't us because of our Lord Drakkar Noir. But it did smell like cows. And the only thing that I got for my trouble was COVID. It was an interesting 10 days. What was cool is I got to kick my wife out of the house, and then every time I cleaned something, it would mysteriously stay clean. There were no weird, funky art piles of like drag or silversmithing or, you know, whatever she's doing today, or they are doing today, depending on the day. So anyway, any questions? Anyone? Bueller? 7?
Yeah, right there.
How about you, sir?
I want to know all the hijinks y'all done. Did you ever get hurt?
Oh, that's a good question.
Emotionally?
Mostly because there's not a pop of us. That's the real emotional. You know, when you work on a TV show, generally speaking, unless you're really famous, when the toys come out, even though they look just like you, you don't get anything for that. They own your likeness in perpetuity in any medium now existing or yet to be invented. That's like verbiage out of the contract.
Yeah.
And so we're okay with no pops because there's no rage. There's no rage that follows. You know? What do you got?
With that being said, we never got hurt. We had good stuntmen.
Oh, sorry.
And we had good people that taught us what to do. You know?
Yeah, I never got hurt on Rangers. I did stab myself in the leg with a cutlass doing some Shakespeare once, but that's because I'm a dumbass. Yeah, how about you're running down a hill, don't let the right leg and the right arm with the cutlass be on the same side as you step down. Because I just like stabbed myself right in the back of the calf. And it looked pink. It was fun.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, you stood.
No, it's you.
You
win.
You're standing. You're using more energy. You clearly care more.
Calories.
What did you guys do when they turned you guys into a monkey at that time? Was it like y'all was leaving the show, or was y'all coming back?
No, we really turned into monkeys. We're really good actors. Believe it.
We were, well, that was when they were thinking of doing the Multi Skull spinoff.
Oh, for real?
And so they tried to clear our schedule, and then meanwhile I was directing first unit on the show. So I was directing, and Jason was, I don't know, not directing. He was somewhere else. And generally speaking, when I wasn't directing, I was not wearing pants and just hanging out at home because we were monkeys.
Well, we also, that's about when we were doing Hamlet, because when we came back, I had that long hair.
Oh, yeah.
We were doing Hamlet. Yeah, we were doing some theater. We were getting stabbed. Oh my God. There's something about swords on stage, by the way. I just want to point this out. I don't know if you guys know this, but you know, there's medals and people talk about what do they call when you use magnets to heal people? So there's it's called bullshit. And this is true. There's a magnetic metallic residue in your eye because anytime you use a sword and it stabs you, it usually goes right to the eye. And we had someone in that production get cut and blood trickling down his face and onto Paulie as Paulie's dying. And there's blood all over. We had people in the audience like, that's so fake, you can tell.
Not fake.
No. Yeah. Anyway, so
the monkey thing was for that spin-off, but they came up with a really cute idea, which was we inherit like a hotel. And there's all these wacky characters, and one of the characters was supposed to be Elvis, the Mexican Elvis, who's like a guy in LA who has a little chihuahua. He's now in his third chihuahua because, you know, they... But
that chihuahua's on his second Elvis, so...
Totally.
It was like a Pee-wee's Playhouse kind of.
It was very Pee-wee's Playhouse, and they focus group tested it with a bunch of kids, and because there were no robots or kung fu, kids did not give two shits about it, and they had us come back to the show because there was no spin-off of that.
Yeah.
Which is fine because we got 4 or 5 more years work out of that afterward.
And that spin-off would have been the Death Bus.
We would have been 6 months and we would have been on the street.
Yep. What's up, back there? So the guy that I originally said you were going, but then no. That's why he learned to stand.
So are there any kind of merchandise that you would love to see Bulk and Scully that you haven't seen, like you know, like Funko Pop's versions or like being playable characters in that Power Rangers fighting game?
Body piercing jewelry.
Well, listen, I mean, at some point, my friends, Hasbro will make them. At some point, they will make them.
One might think.
I don't know when.
No idea why.
I don't have any inside knowledge, but they will make them at some point because you guys have been ceaseless in your haranguing.
The baby back there is clapping. Like the only person clapping is the baby who doesn't know what to do.
It's more like clap back. The baby's like, shut up! Shut up! Zip it! How about you?
I was going to ask you, what was your favorite part about working on Hyperforce?
Well, honestly, the best part of Hyperforce was that in canon, company approved, we got to do a body positive, chunky ass Ranger. And that is huge for this show.
Yeah.
Because they never, I mean, the Japanese did it in like 1970. You know, they had like chunky people that were then morphed into skinny people. So they got halfway there.
So they got halfway there and they got Nutrisystem.
It's all fish there, man. No. They can't gain weight. So, I mean, so that was the best part. I loved Hyperforce because of that. Plus, I got to, you know, finally play another character in a Ranger 2, which was super cool. The challenging part about Hyperforce is that we are like kids that have been made to fly alone or something to another city. You know, like you're out there all alone, and because it's live role playing, we have to keep the Rangers ethos in our minds. And some of my castmates did not understand that you don't always just kill the opponent. We're Rangers. We always have to try everything that is non-violent first, and always have our mind on saving civilians and doing the right thing. And some of the cast members were like, I shivved him! You know, and I'm kicking people under the table. I'm like, no, can't do that. It's true. It's true. Okay, who's next? Who's next? Who's next? How about you right here?
Okay, so a lot of y'all, when y'all are doing Bulk and Skull and all that stuff, y'all do just live here. It's a lot of old school style comedy. Who did you study? What kind of things you look at? What inspired y'all to do that kind of fun, old school slapstick kind of thing?
Well, don't forget back then in the day, they were still playing a lot of that on TV, right? Yeah. So you had the Three Stooges was like an hour a day. There was also, Gilligan the Skipper was there. My dad was a huge fan of slapstick comedy, so I watched a ton of Laurel and Hardy. They almost made a young Laurel and Hardy, but Hal Roach or whoever owned it didn't allow it. So a lot of Laurel and Hardy, a little bit of Fatty Arbuckle and Buster Keaton.
Except for the end.
Except, yeah. Coke wouldn't be a sponsor.
Oh,
sorry, no Fatty Arbuckle fans, never mind. No. Okay, so
that's good.
But that old school slapstick stuff we loved. We loved that stuff. It was so
before we knew each other, we loved it.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons we got along so well.
So when we came together, we both had very similar backgrounds, which was mostly Shakespearean work and a love of physical comedy, and a real will to break it down into its component parts, because all of those great comic duos, nothing is ad-libbed. Everything is like choreographed, like ballet. Like it is, it's like music.
Yeah,
really. So once you understand that, and you can kind of start to build your own thing, like we got to kind of flip it, but we were lucky because we could just act like dicks. You know?
Yeah.
So at least in the beginning.
Well, and then it was a matter of where that kind of stuff came in really useful, because we could just act like the dicks on our own with the influence. Where it became interesting was when we're like, well, we've already done this. What do we do new? And Paulie was really good at making sure we rehearsed no matter what kind of pissy mood I was in. But watching those things was good, because you take somebody like Keaton, you know, everyone thinks that those guys are always like, whoa, but they're not. There's actually a lot of subtlety, which is where it's really funny. The whole thing about when we're counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 5, 4, 7, 8, 9, 7. Like that is both a great Buster Keaton deadpan thing. You know, that blam. You know, that's when it's funny, is when you do the deadpan. So that's where the art comes in. Is once you've tried everything else, and you're like, what can we? How can we make this interesting? And again, Paulie was really good at saying, let's make it interesting. Let's come up with a thing.
Yeah, and it's very noticeable. We've been watching the latter seasons because we did In Space when we kept up. But when y'all are with Professor Phenomenus, or when y'all are with Lieutenant Stone, and you've gone from bullies to, you know, good-hearted bunglers.
Well, and Lieutenant Stone was, I think it was Doug Sloan that came up with that, or was it Terry? They decided Buck and Skull were funnier when they had a third authority figure over them, goading them in the right direction, which is a little bit Three Stooges. He's the Mo.
Yes.
Right? He's Mo. But it's also because even like every Laurel and Hardy, you have the wealthy dowager shows up with her pearls, you know. So
you're straight, man.
Yeah, exactly. I forget now.
It's you, Darby. Come on.
You!
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Lost Galaxy, Jason, you wanted to leave the show.
Yeah.
Paul, you stayed on, but you were only in about 3 episodes.
I call that the couch year.
Was there an original intent to have you on more, or like was there something behind the scenes?
Well, Narvi quit.
Yeah.
And left, but they had me under contract. They were paying me weekly, so I was on call all the time. And so I just got really into packing some calories on and just ripping a bunch of bongos.
Well, and they intended to use it more because Lost Galaxy needed comedy. Just like Bulk and Skull were not in the original concept, other than just a plot device to show that the Rangers were badass when they're not. But they were only going to be in a few episodes, and the Rangers were going to do the comedy, and so was Richard Ginelli. But then they realized having 2 guys who were young worked for the comedy. So when I left, they really relied on Paul and Paulie for for the comedy. They didn't know where to go with it writing-wise.
Well, that's why you didn't really see me that much, is because they didn't know what to do with me.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, basically, I was like Ernie for like 2 episodes, right?
Which again, Paulie is capable of doing, but that wasn't the character of Bulk. Yeah, that's where the difference between the character and the actor comes, right?
Plus, the show was really changing at that point. They were starting to get a little big for their britches, and they were trying to go for like Star Trek Light kind of thing. And
So technically, you were Whoopi Goldberg.
oh my God,
Right?
I feel so much better about that year now.
She's Jew-ish.
Yeah.
Let me get someone in the front, then I'll go in the back over there.
Go to the back. You've had 2 in the front.
Okay.
Screw that guy.
See how Paulie took your opportunity?
Sorry,
It's
Preston.
not me, it's him. You in the back, right. And then I'll go with the person in the front, then I'll go back. So I'm going to do a zigzag. You know, like the Charlie Brown uniforms with the, whatever. That was. Yeah, go for it.
Was Lieutenant Stone's character deliberately supposed to be goofy, or was he originally written as a serious character and then they were just like, let's just make him goofy?
No, I think he was written somewhat kind of daft, you know, but really, you know, our homie Mr. Bullock took it to another level, and kind of did his own thing, kind of just working off of us.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
Well, I think he was more serious.
Well,
because he was supposed to be intimidating.
He was. Well, sometimes he was, but other times, you know, he really ramped up that frustration with the idiots bit. You know,
Yeah.
he took it farther.
Oh,
than,
yeah, definitely.
Than was scripted.
Well, and I think it's because he was a hard ass, he could be more frustrated. That's the thing, if you're like, we want this character to be this, and that's the way a lot of producers and a lot of, even first seasons of great shows, the character is this. And then it develops from there, right? That's why if you want to get into a show and your friend's like, you gotta watch this show, it's great. And you start at episode 1, you're like, this sucks, what are you talking about? You know? Sopranos is a great example. You know what the original slogan for The Sopranos was? It was a poster of him, like very, you know, Godfather, and over here are all the good fellas, right? Looking all badass and stuff. And over here is all of his family. And it said, if the one family doesn't kill him, the other will. You know, so he was one note. You know, he's a mobster, but wait for it! He's also a dad in the suburbs. So Lieutenant Stone was the same thing. He's just mean to Bulk and Skull because he's their boss. Well, Greg's a good actor, so he developed it from there. You know?
Greg and I communicate pretty often these days, and he's doing great. He lives in SoCal, he's got a great job, he's totally happy, does not have any interest in coming to these. He has some really good personal reasons that I don't need to go into.
But they're good ones.
They're perfectly reasonable, you know. Agoraphobia.
Right here.
Were there any embarrassing or funny things that happen on set?
No.
Sets?
No. Just putting in the whistle. Okay, anybody else? Back there. Yeah, go ahead. Raise your hands.
Back when on the sets, like when y'all were having to wear the civilian clothes for your characters, did y'all like have a choice with the design, or was it already picked out?
We did. Yeah, we got to build. See, a lot of times when they make a TV show, they write these characters and then they get a casting director and they go cast them. We're a little different because we did that promo pilot that sold that show, the show to Fox originally, and I had like the weird hair and I went down the bowling alley on a skateboard in my pants. And they saw that and they were like, wait a minute, we should do a Laurel and Hardy thing. Like, so basically so they built Bulk around me. And then essentially found their skinny guy in Jason, their pick, and then I got, you know, to kind of have the final stamp of approval.
And so the good thing is so we made our characters kind of like caricatures of us on our worst days, I think is a good way to say it. And we had and we were both kind of punk rock. Okay.
They gave us credit cards and said, go to where you want to buy your clothes. And so we just went to Army, Navy, and both of us went to our corners and started pulling stuff.
Yeah.
And just built it.
Our first designer, Shauna was it? She got it, like the skull with the handkerchief. That was her idea. She based it off the Clash. And I made him a little more seditious, although he looks more Ducky Dale. But yeah, and even so when we did the movie, actually, it was the same thing. They're like, what do you guys want? And they went shopping with us and went to the same places we always did. That's how Skull ended up wearing that Einstein t-shirt that cost them $10,000 because they didn't get clearance. All right, the woman in the back with the small person who poops in his pants. Is that your husband?
Oh, there he is. Sorry.
Yeah, so we've Bulk and Skull are like working for Lieutenant Stone at the detective agency after they all got fired. And then they're always like crashing his nice cars. And like the next episode, he has another nice car. And like we were wondering if there was like a reason like behind the scenes for why Lieutenant Stone seemed to have all this money, or is he just like embezzling from the police department?
That's intriguing. Yeah, he's a crooked cop.
Well, clearly he started a detective agency. He was no longer working for Angel Grove PD. So who knows? It's a good question, though.
He had really good insurance.
What's your question?
You kind of touched on it a couple times, but like over the years, was there a point at which Bulk and Skull scenes in the scripts became and Bulk and Skull?
Yeah. Oh, I like a Bulk and Skull is a verb. I never heard that. I like that. I'm gonna do a Bulk and Skull.
In the last 2 years, there were many scripts where it would just say Bulk and Skull do something funny. Which was kind of, I went to a writers meeting one time and insisted that they actually work for their money.
Yeah. We used to say that a lot. And that's how we got cut out of a lot of the movies. That at one point they're like, "No, come up and do something funny," and Paulie Snipes off and goes, "Get a writer." But it's true. I mean, like, we can do stuff, but first of all, pay us if we're going to be writers.
Yeah.
Because we would do a ton of stuff. But second of all, give us something to work with.
We might have, sometimes we changed it completely from what it was in the script. Yeah. But most times, we kept the thread that the writer had built into the story. And those are the best bits. Because they're contextual. It actually makes some kind of sense in the flow.
And we had directors that knew how to work with us. I mean, Terry was really good. Bob was actually really good. So, sorry, my vocal box. Anyhow, no. But we had directors that knew how to work Bulk and Skull. And those guys were collaborators. And in instances where Paulie's talking about, Terry in particular would say, "Give me one with that idea," and we would do it, and it would either be great or it would suck. That's how that worked. Front now.
Have you ever read the comics where Bulk and Skull became Power Rangers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We like what they do with Bulk and Skull and Boom. The writers for Boom were great, just in general. Ryan, Kyle, like they just had great stories for everyone.
Boom's basically like fixing the entire history of the series, which is kind of cool. And it's, hurry.
Yeah, oh my God,
because we're all gonna die soon.
Yes.
So when you were younger, when you first started doing all of the filming with the Power Ranger series, was there any like bucket list item that you got to do that you never thought would be possible outside of the filming?
Well, really, making a living as an actor was the first major thing, because only 2% of 5% of all actors ever make a living. 5% work. 2% can pay the rent. So huge opportunity as a young actor to actually achieve our dream so early in life. There were other things, like for me personally, like directing the series. Directing television was always a dream of mine, and I worked very hard to get the chance to direct the show. So that was a huge deal for me personally too.
Yeah. And then there was little things like, having a pie fight on film. I mean, that's the American dream. That's why we're so screwed up, right? That's all anyone wants.
Just like food fight, like we were just so psyched on that. It's like, who gets to do that?
You say food, to yell those lines and do a Western. Yeah, right there. Yeah, you, and then we'll go to the back.
Okay, I was just wondering what it was like to transition from being an actor into directing your first episode.
It's hard. It's hard. Before I directed, I actually was a first assistant director when we were in Australia. So all that like early colonial America stuff, the giant rats, like that was filmed outside of Sydney at a old Sydney town, like colonial,
historical, almost like colonial Williams.
It's a great island. We'll take it. Thanks. Let's make a theme park about that. It seems like a great idea. So that was that was my indoctrination into what it was really like to work in television, which means you have no time, you have very little resources. The thing that you think you need the most, they just tell you no. figure it out. We've given you everything you need. You need to make it work with this. And so,
and the clock is ticking, by the way.
It is, yeah. So I cried seriously a few times at the end of the day when you can't make your day, and you're thinking about how am I going to cut around the fact that I couldn't film everything.
Yeah. You learn a lot quickly.
Yeah, it was really, it was kind of maddening sometimes. And then they made me work with kids, and you only got those little bastards for 4 hours when you turn into pumpkins. Because they need to go to school, right? School, what?
Yeah. Well, and they didn't tell them that either. Well, and that's also the old W.C. Fields adage from slapstick. Ever work with dogs and children. Yeah. Way in the back, and then we're going to come back to the front. Then we're going to go over there, then we're going to go up here, then we're going to go over there.
We'll go, you know, up in the stratosphere. There we go. So I have just 2 little questions about your send-off in Samurai. So first of all, I'm curious whether the sign that you, Jason, hid, was that actually on the road, or is that a prop one that you made and put up there? And then also, it's probably your final send-off of the show, so I'm just curious about, you probably haven't asked this many times, but just curious about your thoughts on how happy you are about it, because you know it had a lot of slapstick and all.
Right. Well, I will say this. First of all, it was a fake sign, but I was so proud of myself. I hadn't been on set for a while, and I certainly hadn't been a slapstick routine. That was my first shot. And so I got it in 1. And I hit it and watch my reaction. No slight on Felix, but I got it. Boom! Perfect! Okay, you're going to hit a sign behind you. And it was so light you couldn't even really feel it. So the moment you feel it, you had to react like it was, you know, 100 pounds just crushing you. And I nailed it in 1. That's a freaking professional, my friend! That's what we do! So that being said, no, that send-off sucked. And Paulie and I both cried about it because it sucked.
I was like, if you watch it, it's sad.
Yeah,
it's sad.
really
and the
sad.
reason it's sad is because they weren't going to have him on Samurai. And so for a year, while I was working on Samurai and Super Samurai, I was like, you guys, you cannot have me here without having him here with the Felix and the Spike thing. It's like it makes no sense. Already makes no sense that a 44-year-old man is living in a garage with an 18-year-old, first of all. and well, I mean, you know, to some people it might make sense, but not to me. and then finally, when they finally agreed, like Jonathan was like, okay, Paul, we'll reach out to him, we'll get him here for the final episode. And I was like, dude, thank you, man. Thank you for doing that, because we really need that to close the loop. Now, it did end up being super sad, but that's because of the writing.
Yep.
You know, because there's not much we could have done with that. You know, I think one good thing that they did was made you insanely wealthy, right? Which is kind of cool.
Which again makes no sense.
You know,
and then they also like made it like we didn't know each other for 10 years. You know, like kids living with them.
Exactly. See, it's just like look, this ain't Star Trek. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no through line here with any thought process behind it. We just look at the Japanese footage and we're like, shit, what do we do with this? Now, there's one thing I will say. I got 2 things. I got 2 demands met by the company. The second one is it was my birthday when we shot the dream sequence in the alternate pocket universe where it was in a full samurai costume in the size 5X. And so the whole day I was like, it's my birthday. Guys, it's my birthday today. I was like, I want the costume. Paul, that cost like $12,000 New Zealand. I was like, I don't care who's gonna wear it. Who's gonna wear a 5X samurai costume? Because you know what they do in TV is like the end of the shoot, they sell all of it to like out of the closet or like a liquidation shop or something, and it just gets sold anyway. So why not give it to me because I'm so needy? And I have worn that to Burning Man 3 times. It's pretty awesome. At dawn, all the hippies are tripping, and I'm striding across the salty playa towards the Japanese tea house somebody set up. And I sit in the lotus position and I drink tea, and then I ask for help to stand up because I can't. Yeah, the costume was mostly made of linoleum, so it weighed about 85 pounds.
Wow. All right, right there.
I have 2 questions. My first question is, what is your degree in, your PhD, and congratulations. And my second question is, if Bulk and Skull had the power to do a crossover in a very serious show, which one would you pick? For example, Law and Order, Bulk and Skull.
That's funny right there.
Yeah.
I love the cheesiness of that show.
I love the play on reality that would give. You know.
Yeah.
But what's your degree in first, and then we'll.
Oh, okay, cool. So my master's is in Shakespeare. My PhD is in theater studies. I'm now at East Stroudsburg University of Pennsylvania.
Say that again.
East Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania.
Is there how many D's are in that?
Shut up!
So it's Dr. Skull now, right?
It's been Dr. Skull for about a decade.
It's great, but if your belly hurts, go to the hospital.
You don't want me examining you, or do you?
It's not Dr. Skull, it's Skeleton now.
Hey, that's right. Come on now, it's formal. That's funny too.
So what's your TV show? Like if it was like a serious one, like Breaking Bad. Skull, Bulk and Skull.
Skull in their underwear in the middle of the desert. Nobody needs to see that.
Which TV show would you pick? Like a serious one. It couldn't be comedy.
I don't know. I think maybe red shirts on Star Trek.
Background, like really overacting while everyone else is like really serious.
Because then we could be reasonably assured we wouldn't get sucked in for another 10 years. You know, we're red shirts. You know, we going back.
That's funny.
Lower decks.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. Let's get on this side because you already had one. You had one. One for everybody.
I feel like we hear you guys are talk more about the first movie. Turbo, was it not much to talk about that shit?
Okay, so let me put it this way.
Was it just Australia?
The first movie, we went to Sydney, Australia and filmed for about 6 months. The second one, we went to the other side of town and were put in water for about 6 days.
Turbo was basically just like filming a series.
Oh yeah,
It was not special at all. I mean, it was just in our worlds. We get a call time. It's in Van Nuys. They have a water tank there. You know, like there was one trip over to Hawaii for that one beach scene, and they did not even overnight us. We flew in, we shot, and we were on a plane home.
I think they overnighted us, but if we wanted to stay longer, we had to pay for it out of our own pocket. You know, the big $89. Couldn't afford it anyway. But we liked working with David Winning on that one. That was fun. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, David was great. Yeah.
What was your favorite season to work on and why?
Well, the beginning for sure.
Yeah.
Because it was such a novelty and such a wonderful opportunity for young actors to get to play real. Because we could smell something was going to happen. Like we could smell. Like
Towards the end of the season.
We were really excited about our work because it was good work and we knew it was good work.
Yeah.
And then they showed us the full opening sequence of the series, which we had been kept away from. You know, the one where it was like 5 animal cracker boxes with rubber band legs and someone just throwing dirt in as they, run across a table that was designed to look like a terrain. After we saw that, we were like, oh, we're done in 6 months. This is gosh.
What have we done to ourselves?
So yeah, it was really, we smelled something special, but mostly because we were close to each other and we were reeking.
Yeah. Yo.
So, got a question about your theme song. Did you have a choice of the theme song? Or
Absolutely not.
No.
What did you think about it after you listened to the song?
I thought it was bitchin'.
We loved it.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Ron is an amazing composer.
Yeah.
And I mean, the whole flavor of the show, the whole thing, I mean, from the theme all the way through the interstitial music, it was all Ron, 100% Ron. And when he actually let us hear it when it was done, and I loved it immediately. Because it started off with the trombone version of the tuba start, which is, I just think it's hilarious.
Yeah. It is like classic comedy. Where everything else is like rock and roll and Bulk and Skull are totally like punk rock, heavy metal. And so to not have that is funny to begin with.
Yeah, I grew up watching
part of comedy is how the person perceives themselves versus how they really are. But that was perfect. And then like the way that
Well, because he broke the theme up into bulk sounds and skull sounds.
Yeah.
So the brr, 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 right.
Let me get in the back, and I'll come back to the front.
So how was it to transition from like Bulk and Skull to like Officer Bulk and Officer Skull? Like how was that transition?
Well, in some ways we liked it because the previous character spine arc was, there's only so much you could do with those particular arcs. So that gave us something else and a wealth of comic material.
Well, a critical part of any acting role is having a super objective for your characters. The overarching thing that person wants. Well, becoming a junior cop was perfect.
Yeah.
And that all went down because I wanted to cut my hair and had long hair for like 10 years. I was over it. And my hair was starting to go. I was like, we need to just shave it. Just shave the shit off. And so Narvi, on the other hand, had a very nice mullet and was not so super cool with shaving all of his hair off. He was really single, and he didn't want to look like a guy that just came out of Camp Pendleton. Right. Oh, no one came out of there, Jason. All right, guys, this is the last question, last two questions. Let's do them quick. How about you?
Yeah. And I'm sure that the both of you have had this question asked 1,000 times. As yourselves, as well as Bulk and Skull, who are your like love interest or crush, not just in real life, either on or off the series, but also like in the series?
I don't know, but I love this guy right now. Oh my
You know, honestly, I was never a fan of sitting down where I eat, if you know what I mean.
Right.
Plus, the hours that we did in TV, you spent so much time together, there was no mystery about anyone. You knew everything about them.
Yeah.
So you couldn't suspend your disbelief that this person might actually be a meaningful life partner, you know?
Yeah.
So I never really crushed on anyone. Oh, I did crush on an extra once, and then I married her.
Nice.
Very nice lady. And after we got divorced, my second wife said, "You better cover up that tattoo you got." And now I have a Bulk and Skull tattoo. And I don't have Carissa emblazoned on my arm like a billboard. Last one. How about you, the hand?
So obviously you guys are really close since the show. Was
Like
there any
brothers.
other of the child actors that you became particularly close to?
We're really close.
Pretty much all of them.
With everyone that we worked with. And now because of events like this, we're close even with the younger kids that are just in their season right now, or the last round, you know? When you get treated kind of badly by someone, and you have compatriots that have had that shared experience, you know, we're drawn together by some of the inclement conditions, which are salaries that aren't great, really long hours, kind of a you ain't special kind of mentality because we can replace your ass in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Which that's showbiz.
Yeah.
You know, so that's why we generally kind of say yes to that's how I stayed on the show for so long, is that I never got uppity and like made demands, except for later when I was like, I want the samurai costume. That one I had nothing to lose, I didn't care.
Well, and for us, I mean, it was college, right? I mean, you're always close to your college buddies, and there's only a few people that you can look at and say, remember that time when we were famous for 5 minutes?
Yeah.
You know, that's a kind of, I mean, that's a unique event. It's like being in an army, you know?
But as I've told many of you this weekend, there's a quid pro quo at work here. There's no show without you watching the show.
Yep.
Because you made it #1 in about 7 seconds worldwide. So thank you for watching. Yeah. Have a good day, guys. Have fun.
Audience here. We had some fun. We did some karaoke.
She sang, I sang, Joe over there sang. He actually danced. Quite a bit.
He really did.
It was a good. He cut the proverbial rug. Guys, if you wouldn't mind while we're waiting, would you give it up for my friend Joe Lunder, please? What's the deal? The cast of Power Rangers Dino Fury! Jazz and Rory will be here soon, and we're gonna have the Beast Morphers too, and it's gonna be the team up you always wanted, guys. Beast Morphers and these fine folks right here.
The Baby Ranger, and guys, I'm the youngest on the team, so it's like a
double
whammy right there. Double whammy.
Youngest in charge.
And the only black Six Ranger.
I'm the only first African American Six Ranger. And the first African American
Kudos to our season for being the first of a lot of things.
We were first of a lot of things.
You guys have a great
So many firsts. I mean, some firsts that y'all don't even know about too.
Right, there are upcoming episodes. That's another unique thing, guys. Very rarely do we get to do a panel with a current show, so obviously there's a lot of things you can't talk about and we won't ask about.
Correct.
But,
We just will politely decline the question if we cannot answer.
So unique. So we're apologizing now.
Yes, apologies, but you gotta understand.
My friends, grab a chair, grab a mic. Good to see you.
So sorry to interrupt. Just wanted to pop in because this is our panel.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say hi. I love you guys so much. I have to catch a flight, so I'm running. But I love you guys. Thank you for a great weekend.
Double whammy, I'm going.
The other Gold Ranger. Yeah, I should have worn my gold jacket back down here. All the gold in the world. I got some gold. Thank you, Hunter. You're reaching out. This is great, guys. As you can see right here, this is not just filler. Like everybody's friends.
Sorry, we're saying
community. We're a Ranger community of Ranger friends and fans. Take care of yourself. Look out for particular things that you guys are like. Yeah, I feel really proud of how I handled my character in this situation.
Okay. Well, Ion, he's going to be a bit of an a-hole. I'm going to just let you know that now. But
and we apologize for our lateness.
We're glad you're here, man. We're just glad to see you. It's good. These guys came out and started off. You guys are a nice crossover, almost. You know, two seasons in a row. That'll work. You know, as long as we're hanging out, we get the panel together. Who else has any questions for our friends up here? Oh, look at this. Of course they do. We've got one right.
And Blaze and Roxy, so they weren't revealed yet, and they couldn't post anything about it. We couldn't post them. Only ones we could post about was just me, Rory,
and they're real sick,
Jackie,
can't
and
post
Amy.
anything.
Yeah, so we were all fighting, and then I had taken a Snapchat, thinking that my Snapchat was private and it was only for my friends and family. And Blaze was like in the farthest left-hand side corner. You could see him with his long legs. He has Hercules legs.
Ooh, Hercules.
Yeah,
Kobe strong.
And you could tell that it was Kobe. So it was Rory. The next day he was all like, "Bro, did you know that Kobe was in that photo?" And I was like, "No, he wasn't." So when it went back, and there it was, his legs. And then Chip called us in.
No, he made a big thing out of it.
No,
he called everybody. He called everybody into his office.
Scolded. And it was ambiguous, right? It was like somebody might have. Does anybody know anything about it?
I know something.
Tell them the story.
You know somebody's gonna get in trouble. So we're sitting in Chip's office, and literally he tells us, he gives us the whole thing. You guys, we're very adamant about telling you we can't post anything. We're doing this, we're doing that. Somebody might have to leave New Zealand. It was that serious. One picture. So literally, we don't know, nobody else knows, and only me and Jazz know.
Ain't nobody snitching either.
Nobody's snitching. Ain't nobody snitching. Straight face. Just go ahead and say who you are. Chip with that smile. Just go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it. So literally, he has a big screen. He scrolls down. He pulls up the Snapchat post. This is the post. And here's whatever your name is, your handle on
Yeah, it's a Jazz with a little crown right next to it.
It's like, yeah, it was like, yeah. It was hard, it was hard. We thought you were gonna go home, kick blue.
Yeah, Chip was all like, "You guys want him to go home?" And they're like, "No." "Do you want to go home?" "No." I felt like I was getting scolded. It was all the way out there for like you leaked it. I think we all that was my worst.
Well, there was.
So they lost my shoes on the day of filming. So they gave me some big ass shoes, and I was just like, these don't fit. And they were like, we just won't show your feet. What?
So well, we had a camp. Well, yeah. I mean, sometimes I feel like it's a little. I mean, we had a camping episode, and they put me in like a nice white jacket. Yeah. Like it wasn't even like a zip up or a hoodie, it was like it had buttons and I would wear it to like a really nice brunch or something. And then half the time I was in Doc Martens, but like not the boot Doc Martens, the short ones. So it was like dress shoes and we're like, I'm literally trying to do fights and stuff in these like tight, movable Docs that it got to the point where if I have had my Docs on, I would put something on my heel because it was just like I'm moving so much in these hard leather shoes.
Yeah. You're cut up right here.
Oh, yeah. No. Oh, my goodness. Y'all ready?
Wait. I'm gonna
This is gonna be good.
If I have enough storage space, we'll do it, but. Okay.
Hold on.
Rangers ready? Ready! I said 1, 2, 3. It's harvest time! Give it up for Roy Travis!
Thank you guys! You guys have been great!
It's Julie Fight! Chip Perez! Hunter Dino! Jazz Badwalia!
Alright, I was going to go to the Pokemon panel, but I already met the Squirtle guy and I already saw a panel with Veronica Taylor, so I think I'm just going to go upstairs because I decided I am going to get an autograph this time. So who do you guys think I'm going to get an autograph and picture with? Here's a hint. They were in the last panel. Alright everyone, we're in my messy ass car, ready for the moment of truth. Hunter Dino! Admittedly, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't watched Dino Fury. But oh my god, she is so charming. She cares so much about the franchise. I was talking to Timbry 3D, and he did mention that everybody loves her, his kids love her, and she seems to be, in his words, a cheerleader to the franchise. Seems like all her tweets are about Power Rangers. I do follow her on Twitter. And I was just like, hey, you know, I want to support her. So I got this, and I got a picture, which you can see on Instagram. My Instagram, Godzilla Guy again. I know that's hard to remember. I'm so sorry. I'll try to add it to my link tree, which is in the description below. So that's it. This is the final day of Rangerstop and Pop Atlanta 2022. Next year, I think I'm going to do VIP. I think I'm going to do VIP next year. The con still has a lot of organizational issues, like when they changed where the VIP and weekend admission lines were, and they tore up the tape that showed, but they didn't put down new tape, and they didn't tell anyone. Like, you could send out an email to ticket holders or something, but they'll figure it out. It's a young con. This is the third one, right? It's the third one. They'll figure it out. I hope. But yeah, and look forward to some reviews. I'm going to be reviewing all the action figures and stuff that I got on the main channel. Link in the link tree. And I'm also going to have a custom figure made. So that's it. Thank you all once again. I'll see you all next time.